my microphone was on. Pardon me on that. Okay, hello, guys. Good afternoon. How are you doing? I hope you guys are great. Welcome back to yet another live stream. Today I'm coming live to you guys because, as you have seen from the thumbnails, the title of the vlog, we are discussing a few of, neighborhoods in Nairobi, Kenya, Kitisuru versus Parklands. Both places I've been there. Parklands, I was actually there for like as a resident, not resident living there permanently, but resident as renting and for a couple of days. Kitisuru, I've been through the place, did really like the area, but it has its own pros and cons and all that. So today I want to just discuss that Kitisuru versus Parklands. I'm very excited for this one. This is one of the live streams I've wanted to do for a very long time. If you know me by now, you know that I'm pretty interested when it comes to real estate, especially going to Nairobi, Kenya, and seeing how developments are in Nairobi, Kenya. There's a way how it opened up my eyes in one way or another, and starting to concentrate more on developments and construction and real estate and things of a sort. Yeah. So today I'm pretty sure that my Wi-Fi is absolutely okay because I decided to leave my place and come to my parents' house. So I'm pretty sure the internet here is okay. Yeah. Before I dive any further, and this is the first time you're watching a video from me, hi there. I'm Tanya, Ugandan content creator, currently in Kampala, Uganda, but I'm returning to Nairobi, Kenya, November. So please subscribe, like, comment, and I'll definitely bring you along. Yeah. Now we want to start it from Kitisuru. Now, Kitisuru is one of those places that initially I didn't get a good kind of bracket when it comes to it because I didn't do enough research about the place. I was not very exposed about the place, especially internet wise, and being in the place. But when Gabriel actually recommended me that, you know what, Tanya, we can maybe also do Kitisuru as a neighborhood, bring along the YouTube family and all that. And I reached there, it was quite intense. And Kitisuru actually is also a place which is really very affluent. Yeah, very affluent. Remember that I was at Karen, Lavington. All those places were pretty there, but Kitisuru was something else. Yeah, it was really something else. Then also the process of us reaching the place, it was really quite intense because when you go back and watch most of these videos we did with Gabriel, we were actually on our feet moving to make sure that we capture every detail. It was kind of a disadvantage that came with advantage because the disadvantage, we had to walk a lot, but the advantage was we had actually to experience almost everything hands on. So getting there was quite hard because we had to do a little bit of fast mapping and walking there and making sure that everything is fab. And finally we did get into the place. Now I'll first give you a broader picture when it comes to me and reacting to everything, before we can go into the differences between it and Parklands. Yeah. Now, Kitisuru actually, it is actually Kikuyu word. Yeah, it's a Kikuyu word from the research I did find, and it partially means a river. It partially means a river. So where the neighborhood is, it's more of in a suburb kind of area, but a lot of forest, and there is a river somewhere in the middle there. And there is a way how the housings or the apartments or the villas or the townhouses are spaced that really just give it an extra edge when it comes to most of these other neighborhoods. It is located quite in a very hilly, very foresty kind of area. Most of their roads are made, and as any other neighborhood, but theirs are really made clean, if that makes sense. They are really made clean. And also on top of that, they have a couple of amenities which are closer to them compared to other kind of neighborhoods I've been to. Maybe the first impression of me actually walking through Kitisuru was how most of the villas and most of the townhouses, their boundaries or their main fences are actually green or very leafy. And I'm not saying that in other neighborhoods it wasn't like that. It was definitely that, but for this in particular, I did observe that for them, theirs was a little bit higher, and almost every other townhouse or villa we did pass through, it was a little bit higher compared to other kind of areas that I've been to. Maybe the other thing is that Kitisuru, they had some areas where there was a couple of pedestrian sidewalks, but not all areas. So when you look back and look at Karen, I think, but also Karen, I think Karen Green or Karen C, they didn't have that. But there are some areas which are actually, designated for pedestrian to go through, and some areas where pedestrians can literally not go through. Yeah. So that is like my general kind of first outlook when it comes to Kitisuru as a neighborhood. But according to the few research I have made, and I want to inform you, also bring you along when it comes to it, I have actually my notes down here. It is that I've talked about where it is located. If I've not, but I think I have. It's in Nairobi, and it is actually partially in Westlands, a few kilometers away from CBD, and also a few kilometers away from some of the bigger malls like the Two Rivers Mall, like the Village Market Mall. And whenever you talk about the Village Market Mall and the Two Rivers, you just know that the neighborhood is quite posh. You have to just know that that neighborhood is quite high there. So most of those amenities are also quite closer to Kitisuru. And I'm not saying that parklands, most of they don't have accessibility to most of these. They do, but comparing the distance amongst both of them, I think Kitisuru just wins. And also, I would love to just mention that Kitisuru, initially, I was just very flabbergasted by the fact that these people live in forests. There is something about too much money that sometimes I don't know, because maybe I don't have the too much money, but there's something about too much money that most of the time prompts people to just go live in these first isolated kind of areas. I don't have anything bad about people who live in isolated kind of areas, but personally, I don't know if I can survive very well without human interaction on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, maybe because I'm still quite young. But most of the people I've found, especially of older age, and the blogs and articles I've read online, there is something attached to having a lot of money and living in quite isolated areas. And that is Kitisuru for you guys. Those guys live in those forests. Like, if you watch that Kitisuru video, I'll make it a point that I leave it linked in this description box below. Those are forests, believe it or not. Those are pure forests. And also, there is a river somewhere in the middle there. Mind you, while I was walking, it was quite around maybe 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And I was with Gabriel, but I was just gasping for air. I was literally gasping for air. The whole road doesn't have any person walking minus us. Yeah, that is how serious that was. The whole road was empty minus us. Then I was like, in case now a person gets a problem with their car, how do they even contact the mechanic or something like that? And Gabriel is like, this place is secure for me in case I have the money, I can come stay here. I was like, no. I'm just imagining this is a forest, super area, you know? And on top of that, I did find out that most of the homes, they have very spacious homes in Kitisuru, very big. And you can find one big townhouse or villa sitting on, I don't know, 10 hectares of land. 10, okay, 10 would be extra, but around 5 hectares of land. And this is a small house. And that is how, isolated Kitisuru is, regardless of the fact that the money is there, but the way how these people live, I can't really comprehend. I need people around me to survive. I need people for my mind to function. I need to be seeing someone, maybe because of the Africanicity that we have grown up in. But I need people, I need to see people on a day-to-day basis. I need to get out of the house to see people, to interact. Good morning, how are you? That is, I hope you guys can hear me, you know. I think my microphone just switched off. I'll just talk it out. My microphone just switched off. But I'm saying this, I need people to survive. I really need people to survive, because maybe because of the way how the kind of setting I've grown up in, but that is completely different when you go to Kitisuru. Also, they have a couple of villas. The reason I'm saying a couple is that I didn't see many, eyes on when it comes to most of their homes. Maybe because it's more in a forested kind of area. Maybe because of that. But I saw a couple of villas. They have a couple of villas in there. They have a couple of new trending kind of bungalows. If you did watch the video, I think you can see a new trending kind of bungalows, especially I think bungalows right now that are being established in I think that is which part of London. I usually forget. But there are these new stylish kind of architectural bungalows that are quite trending. You'll also find those in Kitisuru, but also other older bungalows. I did see them there, and Gabriel explained to me that a couple of colonialists actually used to live there. That's why there are still a couple of those, older kind of buildings, and they go for a lot of money. They go for a lot and a lot of money. Yeah. I think I've given you a broader view when it comes to Kitisuru. Maybe I can give you right now a few or a couple of information when it comes to apartments and homes, according to the research I did do. Now, homes in here, averagely, we are looking at 17 million Kenyan shillings. Like that is the average of properties. And I'm not saying that is the maximum, but that can be like the average when you look at the properties within Kitisuru. That is like the average, like putting all factors into consideration, that is average. But also, in case you are going to be buying a 3-bedroom house, you are buying a 3-bedroom house, maybe you are buying a 2-bedroom house, maybe a single bedroom house, maybe you are renting, prices range. But 3-bedroom house, especially when it comes to villas, we are looking at around 15 million Kenyan shillings. Yeah, 15 million Kenyan shillings. That is approximately 1 million Kenyan shillings is approximately to 30 million Ugandan shillings. So 15 million Kenyan shillings is approximately, let me see, around 60, 70 million Ugandan shillings. Yeah. And also when it comes to now and it can go all the way from 15 million Kenyan shillings all the way maybe to what? Maybe to even 100 million Kenyan shillings, So that is not static, but that is for a 3-bedroom house. And most of the developers right now, I did see most of what is listed online and all that is like their price normal range. I hope one day I can be able to visit such a house, even like such a neighborhood, and see some of those homes inside there, like be there physically, live the moment, just experience that, maybe vlog it and bring it for you guys on here, because I know a lot of us will not be able to attain that lifestyle, but just bringing you along and just have a picture on your brain on how rich people live in Nairobi, and just opening up, because most of the time, like what I'm doing right now, it is quite simple, but to someone it might be quite hard. But I'm pretty sure that whenever we talk about such issues, there is a way how it prompts your mind to open up in one way or another. You start looking at things in a different kind of way. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that properties start from around that, especially 3 bedrooms and above. For 2-bedroom kind of villas and maybe bungalows, look at from around 10 million Kenyan shillings all the way to maybe 45 million Kenyan shillings. And in case you are renting, rent is also quite expensive. We are looking at around 85, 100,000 Kenyan shillings a month, all the way to 400,000 Kenyan shillings a month. So 100,000 Kenyan shillings a month, that is approximately 30 million Ugandan shillings a month. So you are paying 30 million Ugandan shillings a month to live in Kitisuru. And about 400,000 Kenyan shillings, a month. It can be between what? That is pretty also high. I don't want to estimate most of the time this money, because someone gets a calculator and is like, Tanya, oh, what you said is wrong. But just put that into Google, you'll see. It is quite also still high. But when it comes to apartments, especially not the very new ones, I did see that also there are a couple of developers who still have those. Look at around maybe 95,900, no, not 95,000 Kenyan shillings a month, all the way to maybe around 300,000 Kenyan shillings a month. Yeah. So in simplicity, that is the broader picture when it comes to properties in there. Yeah. I think I've been able to explore out that pretty well when it comes to Kitisuru. I want to talk about parklands, because initially I wanted this live to be for only about 20 minutes, 25 minutes or 30 minutes. So Parklands is also another amazing neighborhood, but it's not an affluent neighborhood, if that makes sense. It's not an affluent neighborhood. It's located, I believe, in the east of Nairobi, west of Limuru Road, somewhere in the middle there. I got an opportunity to live there the first time I traveled to Nairobi for 5 days. And this is my honest green experience about Parklands. Now, Parklands is a place that I would live in, especially in case I'm schooling, in case I'm not hustling, in case I have a lot of, in case I have a couple of things already in check, in case, things like that. Parklands is really a place for me. The reason I love Parklands is that the security in there, it was really, really top notch. I did realize even up to today is that I saw a couple of police kind of posts within Parklands. Then on top of that, they have high-rise buildings, but they're not so high to a point that you are always into other people's businesses. At least I witnessed that firsthand in Parklands. Then also, I did like the fact that most of the apartments and buildings, they're actually gated. So that is also pretty amazing. On top of that, what else I wanted to say about Parklands? Oh, this. You realize that because of quite a number of amenities within Parklands, like Kenyatta University School of Law and a couple of other small malls in the area, it just makes the place a little bit high end, but not so high end, in a way that the malls which are in there are not so, they don't accommodate a lot of people, meaning that a lot of people are not going to be coming out to be able to, attend whatever they have to attend. The same thing goes for when it comes to, the schools in there. So just gives it a small bit of balance when it comes to what you can attain inside there and what you can't attain inside there. Yeah. So I did like that vibe a lot. And what else? What else when it comes? Oh, now I'll give you. I think I'll talk about this when it comes to apartments and housings in there. Now, I want to just give you a brief history. I did find this actually through reading, but Parklands was actually initially kind of a residential area that like it was a residential area for civil servants, especially during the colonial era. And with time, people from the Asian decency came in and occupied it, and they have led to a lot of development, even up to date. When you look into parklands, their influence is still very evident and still very felt, which is also one of the contributing factors to where it is right now. But also, uh, deep in history, realize that it was broken down, into different sections. There is, let me see. I don't want to give you wrong information, but it was broken down into the first Parklands Avenue, and fourth Parklands. Now, I got an opportunity when I was there in May to actually live in Parkland Avenue. I went back and just confirmed this from booking.com. Parklands Avenue. But I did also know that on all the four different kind of levels of parklands, some of them are, they are different, and the difference brings in the price changes, if that makes sense. It's simplicity. The difference brings in the price changes. Yeah. What else? I've talked about amenities in there, that there is a Kenyatta University Hospital branch, Kenyatta University no, Kenyatta University School of Law in there. There is also Aga Khan University Hospital. There is also the Aga Khan preparatory kind of schools in there. That makes it also quite a good neighborhood, especially when it comes to families and places that are quite secure, but also a number of social and communal kind of amenities are quite closer to people. Yeah. Then I think I would just talk about right now the houses in there. Yeah. Now, when it comes to houses and homes in Parklands, I would love to just say that they have amazing housing, and it's quite affordable. Yeah, it's quite affordable. But where now the trick is that basing on the parkland you are in, it is going to really influence how much you are going to be paying when it comes to rent, when it comes to Airbnbs, and also when it comes to the amount of money you'll be spending, when it comes to getting accessibility to different things. Mind you, Parkland is not that far from CBD. No, it's not. But now, the accessibility to different things. Remember that it's all the way on this side of Nairobi, east of Nairobi, CBD, and west of Limuru Road. So getting closer to a few things might be a little bit, for example, Ubers might be a little bit expensive, and getting transportation to CBD and Matatu might be a little bit tricky. Yeah. But regardless, it's also a very good kind of neighborhood, according to, I experienced it and I was able to read about it too. It's also quite a very good neighborhood. But in simplicity, I would say when it comes to rent in Parkland, it's quite affordable compared to rent in Kitisuru. Yeah, rent in both places, and obviously Kitisuru, it's a very lavish neighborhood, but compared to other maintaining other factors constant, and the level of life you want to live on, and the standard of life you want to base your life on, I think Parklands can be a good place for you, especially if you're on a budget and things like that. Yeah. Rent single bedroom house. We are looking from around 40,000 Kenyan shillings all the way to 75,000 Kenyan shillings. That is for a three-bedroom house. And also, I told you Parkland is divided into three different other areas. So, basing on the area you are in, if it is first Parkland, expect the price to be a little bit higher. In case you are in mid-class Avenue Parklands, a little bit lower. And the sequence goes on and on. But regardless, that is for three-bedroom house. For two-bedroom house, expect rent to be around from around 30,000 Kenyan shillings all the way to 40,000 Kenyan shillings. And for a bed sitter, expect to be around 20,000 Kenyan shillings a month, all the way to maybe 35,000 Kenyan shillings a month. Yeah. And in simplicity, I think that brings me to the end of the video. I think I'll just give my closing remarks when it comes to both areas and what I think about both of them before we finish off our live stream. But I would say this: Kitisuru is a very good neighborhood, and don't quote me wrong on that. It's a very good neighborhood, but I would say that it's a very good neighborhood, especially people who are really, really quite very rich, because most of the time when it comes to very, very rich neighborhoods, we are looking at investment. Most of the time, they tend to be investment modules. Someone investing their money, expecting for maybe after 5 years to come back and get out their money, you know. But Parklands, it's also quite an investmental kind of area, but more of a good residential area to go live in. And both places are very good, basing on your terms and basing on your budget and where you are right now in your life. But especially if you don't have a lot of money when it comes to investment, I think Parklands is for you. But in case you have a lot of money for investment, look into Kitisuru. Yeah. With that said, guys, I think I've been able to break down whatever I wanted to break down when it comes to Kitisuru and Parklands. Later on, I'll have to do another live stream about pipeline. So hopefully later on we shall have that live stream about pipeline and maybe compare it to something else. I lived in pipeline for like 2 weeks straight, and I'll definitely get something else I would love to discuss about, especially people who just want information out there. I know a lot of people might not be enjoying this, but I know people who enjoy it, especially people who are passionate about real estate and neighborhoods. This can give you a broader view when it comes to deciding on different things. Yeah, I think that brings me to the end of the live stream. Let me meet you in my next one, and yeah. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and let me know what you think of this comparison in the comment section below.